Imagine a world where danger lurks around every bend, and every second is filled with the excitement of uncertainty. Welcome to the most dangerous highways, a terrifying journey across dangerous highways that will leave you breathless and clutching to the edge of your seat. Prepare to be enthralled by the heart-pounding reality of these death-defying passages, where the war between man and road plays out in the most intriguing and awe-inspiring ways. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on an adventure that will put your courage to the test and reveal the true meaning of adrenaline. Are you prepared to face the roadways that defy logic? Let's get started. The 10th highway on the list is not only the most shocking but also the only non-interstate highway, US 41. US 41 is a significant north-south route that spans from Miami, Florida to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, passing through important cities such as Tampa, Atlanta, Nashville, Chicago, and Milwaukee. US 41 has no set standard for its length. It can range from a 2-lane rural highway, such as through the Florida Everglades, to a major surface boulevard, to a quasi-freeway and lake shore, drive through Chicago to an actual freeway, and currency with interstate highways, such as Interstate 41 in Wisconsin. There were 141 fatalities on US Highway 41 in 2019, and 7.02 fatalities per 100 miles. Many of the fatalities on US 41 can be linked to snow and ice on the route's northern end and the section through the Tampa Bay area, since Hillsborough County has the highest traffic fatality rate in the country. Interstate 80 is ranked 9th on the list. Interstate 80 is a transcontinental interstate highway that runs from New York City to San Francisco, California. It's the country's second longest interstate roadway. Other cities along the route include Cleveland, Chicago, Toledo, Des Moines, Iowa, Salt Lake City, Reno, and Sacramento. I-80 had a total of 209 fatalities in 2019, with a rate of 7.21 fatalities per 100 miles, with the Interstate 80 routing. During the winter months, it's reasonable to state that the bulk of fatalities occur in the New York, Chicago, and San Francisco metro areas. Icy weather in the Chicago, Cleveland, and New York areas can be blamed for increased fatalities. Interstate 70 is the 8th. I-70 connects I-15 or Cove Ford, Utah to a park and ride just inside the Baltimore city limits on the East Coast. It's the 6th longest interstate route in the United States, passing through towns such as Denver, Topeka, Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. In 2019, there were 158 fatalities on the I-70 at a rate of 7.35 per 100 miles. A well-known part of I-70 is in Colorado. The Glenwood Canyon segment, in particular, was not finished until 1992 and passes through some of the most severe terrains in the whole interstate highway system. It has several steep hills as well as some sharp curves that do not meet regular interstate requirements outside of Colorado. Because I-70 serves as the main east-west motorway through many of the cities it travels through, its fatality rate is likely to be higher because of the urban areas of St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbus, and Indianapolis. Interstate 40 is the number 7 freeway. Interstate 40 is a transcontinental interstate route that connects Wilmington, North Carolina, and Barstow, California. Along the journey, it goes through cities such as Raleigh, Durham Triangle, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Amarillo, Texas, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Zebra article listed 253 fatalities in 2019, with a rate of 9.89 per 100 miles. Although I-40 does not pass through as many major metropolitan areas as some of the other routes, it does pass through some difficult terrain, particularly in the Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, where rock slides are common and make the road treacherous or even impassable at times. I-40 is also one of the busiest truck corridors in the United States, which contributes to the fatality rate. 6th on the list is Interstate 15, a major north-south interstate highway that goes from San Diego, California, to the Canadian border at Sweetgrass, Montana. Along the way, I-15 goes through the Inland Empire part of the greater Los Angeles area, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City, Utah. I-15 had a total of 158 deaths and a rate of 11.02 deaths per 100 miles. At first glance, I-15 is much shorter than the other east-west interstates on the list so far, and it only goes through a few big cities. The high death rate is probably because the part of I-15 in California that goes between San Diego and the Inland Empire goes through hilly terrain, has a lot of traffic, and then goes through a long, dangerous stretch between here and Las Vegas. Now we'll talk about the first 5 places. Up next is I-35, which ends in the number 5 and is another major north-south road. It goes from the border with Mexico in Laredo, Texas, to Duluth, Minnesota. Along the way, it goes through big cities of San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Des Moines, Iowa, and the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. In 2019, there were 137 deaths on the I-35, which is 12.56 deaths per 100 miles. The Zebra says that a lot of I-35 statistics come from the fact that it goes through all of Texas's biggest towns except for Houston and has a lot of truck traffic. The following interstate is Interstate 75. I-75 connects the Miami metro area and South Florida to the Canadian border in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Fort Myers and Sarasota are key cities along this route. Tampa, Atlanta, Cincinnati, and Detroit are all in Florida. In 2019, there were 237 fatalities on the I-75, with a fatality rate of 13.27 per 100 miles. The Zebra attributed a large amount of those fatalities to icy winter conditions in Michigan, and the portions of I-75 on the west coast of Florida, Fort Myers, and Sarasota were mentioned, along with Tampa being the worst of all, with Hillsborough County, which contains Tampa being cited as the most dangerous county in the entire country. Now we are back on the west coast, and it's none other than the primary roadway of the west coast, Interstate 5. Interstate 5 connects the Mexican border near San Diego with the Canadian border. In Blaine, Washington, I-5 had 186 deaths in 2019 and 13.47 fatalities per 100 miles as it runs through or near major metro areas such as Diego, Los Angeles, the San Francisco Bay Area, Sacramento, Portland, and Seattle. At number 2 is Interstate 20. The I-20 highway runs through Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Birmingham, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport, Louisiana, Shreveport, and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I-20 had 208 total fatalities, with a fatality rate of 13.52 per 100 miles, just beating out I-5. High-traffic regions such as Dallas, Jackson, and Atlanta were highlighted by the Zebra as important factors in its death rate. Who would have guessed that driving in Alabama would be safer than driving in Texas? To no one's surprise, the only well-known highway left at this point is the one you've all been waiting for. Number 1 on the list is the massive Interstate 95. I-95 runs up the east coast of the United States, from the tropical palms of downtown Miami to the snowy woodland of Houlton, Maine, at the Canadian border. I-95 carries the most traffic and passes through or near the most populous areas of any freeway. It passes through Jacksonville, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York City, and Boston before returning to a calm road through Maine. With 284 fatalities and a fatality rate of 14.88 per 100 miles, I-95 ranked first in both fatalities and fatality rates. There you have it, most dangerous interstate highways.